especially my generation, when I call a friend, he will not pick up and he will text me instead and be like, "What's up?" We have gotten scared of speaking over the phone, and we are resolving to nonverbal communication more than ever. Do you fear that verbal communication and sound in that regards will go away at some point?
Yeah, it's about to change, actually, which is the good news. Because there's a lot of money, billions and billions being spent on speech recognition and voice synthesis. And now we have AI turbocharging that. So we will be freeing our fingers and our eyes from this, kidnap that's taken place over the last 50 years or so, ever since email happened, and certainly since we've had mobile phones, devices we're carrying around where, so much of our lives we're looking at screens. I mean, I think it's 70% of our waking lives. Yeah. We're looking at a screen. Unbelievable. Well, that is going to change because the user interface is going to move from text to speech. That's so much more natural. You think about it, you can do other things when you're listening. So, if anybody's just listening to this podcast as opposed to watching it, they might be having a bath, doing the ironing, driving a car, having a walk, having a run, in the gym. I mean, it could be all sorts of different things because you can do something else while you're listening. And that's very, very powerful, I think. And in addition, it's the most natural interface we've got. We've been speaking using complex language for possibly 200,000 years. Do you know we only invented writing 5,000 years ago, or less than 5,000 years ago, more like 4,000. So for the vast majority of the existence of Homo sapiens on this planet, and probably for millions of years before that, we were using our voices to communicate, along with gesture, touch, and whatever, but mainly voice. Originally, not with language. And there's a great book by Stephen Mython called The Singing Neanderthals, where he talks about how possibly language evolved from a proto-hum, he calls it, where we were verbal, but not linguistic. So, we'd be saying, and, talking to each other quite emotively, and quite clearly without using words. And of course, motherese would have existed then, mothers humming to their babies and so forth. But when we invented language, maybe a couple 100,000 years ago, music got cut off from its use as communication and became, in inverted commas, useless, became just aesthetic. And I totally disagree with, what's his name, Steven Pinker. He described music as auditory candy floss or something like that. I can't remember. And music is so important. There's not a society that's ever been discovered on this planet that hasn't developed music independently. So to be musical is to be human. To be human is to be musical. It's part of our soul, if you like. But I think, to go back to the original question, we are about to move away from the dumb aids that we've got right now, Siri, Alexa, Hey Google, those kind of things, which are pretty stupid. And they're just giving us pre-recorded or predestined scripted answers. We're going to be moving to an AI-based artificial intelligent agent, if you want to call it that. Bit more like Jarvis in Iron Man, where we can have a conversation with it, where it learns. And, my agent might be Fred. And instead of having to go into any one of about 50 apps I've got on my phone and start keying in credit card numbers and then responding to endless bloody 6-digit codes that people send me and so forth, I'll just say, Fred, I've got to go to Brazil next week. Could you book a plane on Tuesday morning or let me know what the flights and the prices are? And then I'd like to come back on Sunday. And by the way, while I'm there, could I see Zhao for lunch on the Thursday at that nice restaurant we went to last time? That is the kind of natural language interface that we'll have. Fred will deal with all that, come back to me. I might look at a screen when he shows me everything, if I need to. And that's how we will be relating. So, big questions there. Who's going to own Fred? Is it me? Google, Microsoft, Apple, who. And Fred will be a big gatekeeper for people involved in marketing or selling. You're going to have to persuade Fred to let you through to me. So marketing will be quite different. And of course, this is all happening in sound. So, companies that don't have audio brands may well cease to be visible or be noticed at all. So I do think that's going to happen. And I think we'll get back into the habit of speaking and listening. And I very much hope that's going to then influence our relationships with our friends as well and get us back to speaking and listening to them. I mean, text is very useful. It's asynchronous. It's quick. And, to a degree, it's safer, if you like. I mean, I know the research shows that younger people would rather ask somebody out and definitely dump somebody using a text rather than face-to-face or in voice because, you don't have to experience the comeback so much. On the other hand, what are we losing? The depth of relationship, the intensity, the emotion, the bandwidth that we are as human beings. The voice is the instrument we all play. It's incredibly important. And if we lose contact with that and we just communicate with each other through text messages, I think we have lost a huge chunk of what it is to be a human being.
Right. Have you heard of Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain chip thing?
No, not really in detail. What's he doing with that?
So they're theorizing, at least, and this is far in the future, I suppose, that we'll be able to speak to each other telepathically?
Telepathically, yeah. Well, maybe, who knows in the future, but, there would be a big discipline about that, wouldn't there? Who's totally in control of their thoughts? When you're talking to somebody, you're often thinking something rather different to what you're saying. And there's a little time lag between thinking and saying. We think faster than we can speak. And so that's why for many people, for example, listening is difficult because they're thinking about what they're going to say next and they're predicting what the person in front of them is going to say because we think that much faster. The speed of thought and even typing is faster than the speed of speaking.